Hey guys, what's going on? So let's just get right into the point of this video. So, 2 years ago, or like 3 years ago, I don't even know anymore, but in my belief it was 2 years ago. Anyway, 2 years ago, I made a video called Top 10 Roller Coasters at Cedar Point. But I've rewritten most of the rides there, and I've ridden all of the rides there at some point. So I'm going to make a list ranking every single roller coaster at Cedar Point since I've been on that and all. Just ignore that noise in the background. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Alright, let's start out with the back two. By the way, this is going from least to best. So, let's start with the least, which is Wilderness Run and Woodstock Express. I think Wilderness Run is the least best, and Woodstock Express is the second least best. But that's just because they're kiddie coasters. Nothing really special there. But after those two are out of the way, let's get into the real list. Alright, so the third least best roller coaster at Cedar Point, and even though this is the third least best, this is, in my opinion, the worst roller coaster at Cedar Point, and that is Corkscrew. If you guys know, I am not a fan of Corkscrew, okay? It is not good. Sure, it's an icon, and yeah, it's way better than it actually rides. So, I'd say if you want to go on Corkscrew, go right next door to Thrill Dragster, ride that. After Thrill Dragster, just get some pictures of Corkscrew and then do something else. Just don't ride it. Unless you want the credit, then yeah, sure. But if you don't want the credit, don't ride it. Alright, now on to the next one, which is Cedar Creek Mine Ride. I placed this ahead of Corkscrew because I grew up with Cedar Creek Mine Ride. And it's, I know this is kind of saying something, but I loved this ride as a kid. And I don't even know why. I mean, I liked Adventure Express more, but this ride was still pretty good. And I guess that's just because I love the lake setting and everything like that. Alright, let's get into the next roller coaster, which is Iron Dragon. I think Iron Dragon is the worst suspended coaster. Not that there's, like, anything wrong with it or something. Well, actually, But I do think it is the weakest suspended coaster out of the three I've ridden. So, yeah, let's get into the next one. And this next one might trigger a lot of people. I don't really know. But this is actually Valraven. And let me explain before you say, how could you place Valraven so low? Let me explain. I like SheiKra, and that's the only other B&M dive coaster I've been on, and I'm planning on trying to get on Griffin. So yeah, but comparatively, I like SheiKra better than Valraven, and here's why. I didn't get any floater on the first drop. And that's the best part of any dive coaster. It's getting that floater, that 0G on the first drop. With SheiKra, with the traditional B&M restraints, you get a lot of floater. But Valraven has the vest restraints. And the more roller coasters have these B&M vest restraints, the more I'm starting to hate the B&M vest restraints. I don't know why. They just don't allow for any air time or any room. And they come down on your chest. Makes it kind of hard to breathe. So I guess that's why. But yeah, that's my reasoning for why Valraven's so low. I just didn't like it. I wasn't a fan. Alright, let's get on to the next one, though, which is Wicked Twister. Now, Wicked Twister is really nothing special. You go up, you twist, you go. The only thing special about it is that it's the only intimate impulse coaster that has both spikes spiraling. The others have the front one is spiraling and the back one straight up. But this one has both of them are spiraling. And I can't decide on which one's better because this is the only impulse coaster I've ridden. But if I do get on another one that has the straight up, I'll be able to decide. Alright, let's get into the next one, which is another B&M with the vest restraints at Cedar Point. You already know what I'm talking about. This is Gatekeeper. And I used to love Gatekeeper, I don't know if it was in my top 10 video, but it probably was. But I loved it. But now I don't. I don't know why. I just don't like it anymore. It doesn't give any intense forces, in my opinion. The only good part is the wing over drop and the near miss on the towers. Those are the only good parts, in my opinion. I think the rest of the ride could have been better. And I think B&M wing coasters are the only B&M model that should have the vest restraints. I didn't find the vest restraints to tuck down as much as Valraven did, but I don't know. I just lost my taste for it, I guess. All right, let's get into the next one, which these next two rides actually, which they're pretty darn close together, if I do say so myself. Okay, these are Blue Streak and Gemini. Now, I decided to have Blue Streak behind Gemini, and here's why. Let's start with Blue Streak. Now, I feel like Blue Streak is the most forgotten roller coaster at the park. Like, when you go to Cedar Point, Blue Streak is probably the last ride you're thinking about. At least you're thinking about Woodstock Express and Wilderness Run, because if you have kids, that's what they want to go on. But Blue Streak, it's the only wooden coaster at the park, but I know it's pretty dang underrated. I love Blue Streak. I loved it way more than I thought I did. The airtime on it was pretty good. The only thing I didn't like is the slight rattle, but you know what? That's expected with old wooden coasters. But yeah, I actually like Blue Streak, and it's funny because I liked it better than the roller coaster that was right next to it, which is Valraven, which is from 2016, and Blue Streak's from 1964. So, don't know about that. Alright, let's move on to Gemini. And here's the reason why I put Gemini ahead of Blue Streak. I grew up with it. It was my first major roller coaster that I actually didn't, get completely scared on. I loved it. I loved the racing element. I love the helix at the end, gives some mild intensity. And it's pretty fun, to be honest. I always go on the red side. I need to try the blue side out. But then again, the blue side's literally just the exact same thing. So I think I'll keep riding the red side. Alright, let's get into the roller coaster immediately after that, which are another two roller coasters that are pretty close together. And this is Rougarou and Raptor. Now, Ruguru. Let's go with Ruguru first, and that's because it's behind. So, I also grew up with Ruguru. It was my first major coaster that went upside down. But recently, been a pretty big headbanger. Honestly, recently, it's been a pretty big headbanger. I don't know what's up with it. Like, I don't know. But my last ride was near the back row, so that might have been it. But I used to marathon this ride over and over and over again. It was, yeesh. But that last ride I had on it was pretty rough, and that's why I decided to put Raptor ahead of Ruguru. Because I found Raptor is overall smoother than Ruguru, based on an average. The average bad to good rides you'll get on Raptor is you'll get more good rides than bad rides on it than Ruguru will, if you know what I'm saying. So, my last ride on Raptor was really, really good. It was one of the best rides that I've ever had on it. And that helix, man, if you're not careful, your legs might turn to jelly. I know mine did. Alright, but now we're going to get into the top tier roller coasters at Cedar Point after Raptor. These are going to be 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s. And let's start. I know this is going to be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to say Maverick. I know. Some people consider Maverick the second best ride in the park, and some people even think it's still the best. But after a few rides recently, I still think it's still really good. Don't get me wrong. It's still, definitely top 5 worthy, but I just don't think it's second or best. And here's why. Those restraints. Now, I usually don't have a problem with the kind of restraints that it uses, but my first ride on Maverick was a pretty bad one. I remember my legs kept bashing into the restraints, and it actually hurt them. But later I got some new rides, and it's really good. In fact, I'd make the argument that it's not only is it the most intense roller coaster at Cedar Point, but I'd make the argument that it's the most themed roller coaster at Cedar Point. Alright, but let's get into the next one, and this one's going to be really controversial because I know a lot of people hate this ride, and that is Magnum XL-200. Now, I love this ride. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. Just like Maverick, my first ride was awful, but I've gotten some new ones, and the ride's gotten smoother, the restraints have gotten better, and the airtime's gotten better as well. I just really, really like it. Now, I was debating on putting this ahead of Top Thrill Dragster or behind of Top Thrill Dragster. But at the end of it, I decided to give it a tie. But that was only for a good 2 minutes before I started this video. And then I decided to put Top Thrill Dragster ahead. And here's why. It is very, very fun. It's, sure it's not an airtime machine like Magnum, but it's, actually, you know what? I'm putting Top Thrill Dragster behind Magnum. And I know that's kind of a crazy statement, but that was actually my original plan. I just lied to make that sound cooler. Whatever. Here's my reason why Top Thrill Dragster's behind Magnum. And that is because it's really short. By the time you're processing that launch and going up over, you hit the brakes and get out. Like, seriously. It's a little bit too short. But, you know, what could they have done back then? Alright, now let's get into the best. Both of these rides are 10 out of 10s. Perfect rides. Will not change anything about them. We're going to start off with the second best ride in the whole park, Millennium Force. Some people really don't like this ride because they say it's too repetitive with its overbanks. But personally, I like overbanks, so that's not a problem for me. I love being close to upside down, but not upside down. That's what I love about it. The speed you feel after that first drop and that turn into the first tunnel, amazing. And some people say they don't get any airtime on the 2 hills, on the 3 hills, and I would beg to disagree. I think you get tons of airtime on those 3 hills. The first 2 hills are good floater, and the last hill is pretty good ejector. It then goes into another overhang and the brakes, and some people are left disappointed. But since Millennium was my first Giga, I wasn't disappointed at all. Alright, and you guys already know what the number 1 roller coaster is at Cedar Point. I mean, it's so obvious. I don't even think I have to name it. Yeah, you already know what I'm going to say. It's Steel Vengeance, okay? I'm not even going to go too much into this. Alright, it's got everything. It's got the airtime. It's got the inversions. It's got, the only complaint I had is, I rode it. I think I rode it too many times because, my, legs kept hitting the restraint. And at one part, this might seem shocking, but at one overbank, but right before the 4th inversion, I felt a little bit of a rattle. And that was surprising because RMCs have never had rattles, ever. But I actually felt, it wasn't like throughout the whole ride, it was just that slight turn. It was just very slight. It was just like that. But I felt it, and that was pretty weird. But yeah, those are my only complaints. But yeah, Steel Vengeance is pretty perfect. I've never gotten a front row or a back row ride, but I'm trying to shoot for that back row. So yeah, that's how the roller coasters ranked at Cedar Point. Yeah. Alright. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you disagree, if you agree. Yeah. I think that's about it. So, I guess I'll cut out of here. Alright. See ya.